Welcome to Craft Time from Houston Public Library. I'm John Cooper. Today I'm going to show you how to repair a hole near a seam on a garment. For this project, you will need needle, thread, scissors, and a garment with a hole. Let's get started. I have this old pair of sleep pants. They're comfortable, but, you know, they got a hole. They got a hole right there. You can see the seam is right there, and the hole runs down it. To start with, we're going to flip these inside out, because we want to work from the inside. That way, our repairs won't be totally visible. Again, it's on the butt of a pair of sleep pants, but you don't want to mess with it too much. Alright, let's get that in place. So I have a needle. I've got a doubled up thread with a knot at the end. And the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to pinch up the edge of this hole right here, the end of the hole right there, to the seam. And I'm going to use two different stitches today. The first one here that I'll be using is called a back stitch, because I'm going to push through here, come out the other side. The seam is going to move in this direction, but it looks like, as I'm sewing it, that I'm moving backwards, because I'm taking the needle back an 8¼ of an inch, pushing back through, going to the other side of the knot, and coming back out, just like so. So the seam progresses in that direction, but it does not appear to be doing that when I put the needle in. So I'm just going to keep doing that. Push in, push out, pull, come back in, the old hole, the first part where I came out, there we go. And I'm trying to keep it on or close to that original machine seam. You can see that it's forming a neat set of stitches on this side, or a relatively neat set of stitches. I'm not the best at this. And a slightly more ragged set of stitches on this side. That's fine. It's inside. No one's going to see it. There are ways of doing this very neatly. It's useful so that bits of thread don't get caught on things, but I'm not too worried about that here. This is a sort of stitch you would use on a seam where you would see the top of the stitch on a garment. This would be the top of the stitch. But I'm using it here because it's a very secure stitch, and I like it for that purpose. And I'm just going kind of quickly so I don't take too much of y'all's time and so that I can move on to the next bit. Let's see. Here. Here. And one last stitch right here. Okay. So the next bit I'm going to do, actually, I'm going to come back here and finish this off with just a stitch through there. The next stitch I'm going to do, I'm going to flip this around because I'm right-handed and I prefer to have my stitches move in this direction. It's called a blanket stitch. We've secured the fabric on one side of the hole to the other side. Now what we're going to do is we're going to secure the fabric over the top of itself to minimize fraying and to provide a little bit more security for this. So a blanket stitch is just a loop that you come over and then move back and around, and you'll see. So, came out here, I'm forming a loop over the top of that collected bit of fabric, and I'm pushing that against the direction of the stitch and then pulling in the direction of the stitch. And doing it again. Moving over 1/4 inch, rather like I did with the, or 1/8 inch, like I did with the back stitch. Trying to keep these from being too tight or too loose. They don't need to be the cleanest stitches ever because we're just trying to repair a relatively cheap garment, but at the same time you do want them to be close enough together to provide the support you need and accomplish the task you're doing. Notice I'm trying to come in above the back stitch, but still within the fabric that is giving me issues. So just above it here. And it's useful sometimes to use the stitches you just did as a guide for how wide you're going to make this stitch. Go. You want to tie it tight, but you don't want to tighten it up so much that it puckers the fabric. Okay. The loop. I've got one more before I'm back where I started. Here, through, back through, and done. I'm going to do another stitch through that same loop I just did. Coming out the same part there. There we go. And put another, one. And I'm going to get it down some, and then I'm going to get a second, go around through that loop, pull it tight, and that's in place. Trim it, and there you go. Pull it back from the outside, and you can see where the white stitching is, but you'd really have to look. And if this were done with the same color stitching, it would be rather difficult to tell. You'd have to get really close. Considering this is the bottom of a pair of sleep pants, I don't think anyone's going to be seeing that. So, if you do any similar work, use the hashtag #ILoveHPL so that we can see what you do. And we hope to see you again soon. Bye. Post to social media using the hashtag #ILoveHPL to share your complete projects with us. Follow us on social media. We're on Instagram at Houston Public Library, on Twitter at Houston Library, and on Facebook at Houston Library. Hope to see you all again soon. Bye.